Good evening, everyone. Once again, we are present here after a short break. Now, we were discussing some previous year questions of UPSC Civil Services Examination of year 2022, and we were discussing economic questions that time. So, we will continue with the economics right now. And you can look at the question here. The question says, with reference to the G20 common framework, consider the following statements. G20 common framework. First, we should underline the important points or important terms. G20 common framework. Consider the following statements. It is an initiative endorsed by the G20 together with the Paris Club. So here two things are important: G20 with the Paris Club, an initiative endorsed by the G20 together with the Paris Club. Second point says it is an initiative to support low income countries, with unsustainable debt. Which are the correct statements? One only, two only, one and two neither. So this is the basic question. So naturally, whenever we know something about G20, basic understanding, but generally Paris Club is not taught in the any coaching. I don't think so, or anywhere. It is not an important. It is not also in the news often. So what is Paris Club? After hearing the Paris word, our mind directly jumps to the COP21, that is COP Paris, which had held in 2016, and which was a very important summit. Okay, so here Paris Club. So automatically we will think about that COP Paris. But this Paris Club is different from the COP Paris. It is totally altogether different. It is nothing like that. It was started in, I think, 1956 or something. I might be wrong. It is not at all important. So these figures are not important for the UPSC purpose only. So what is Paris Club? First question comes, if we know Paris Club and if we have read the newspaper thoroughly, I think that it was not covered 2 or 3 days multiple times. It might have been news in 1 or 2 times. It was not so important news, but the UPSC asked question from that topic. So it is an initiative to support low income countries. Low income countries, we all know. Initiative to support low income countries with unsustainable debt. Okay. So which of the following are the correct statement? So the answer is, first I will tell you the answer. That yes, 1 and 2 both are the correct. It is the answer, but we are not here to discuss the answers only. We are here to discuss about the peripheral knowledge. Our aim is that only. So we have to discuss what? G20, now G7, again G4, and in between there are G8, G6 related to G7 only, and G10, G11 and D10. Okay, these are related to G7 only. Okay, G20. Okay, these things we will discuss. Also we will discuss Paris Club. What is Paris Club? I don't think it is that much important. UPSC gives some these types of questions which are very difficult to crack, to eliminate people, and this is the nature of the examination. So we are here to discuss. Firstly, we will discuss about Paris Club, because I think that most of us have never heard about the term Paris Club. What is Paris Club? Paris Club was established in 1956 or something like that. It was established by some rich countries like Italy, UK, France. At that time, those countries that were rich, those are not important. Those members are not important, and it used to give loan. Means some loan giving countries, those countries which were developed, which were rich countries, which used to give money to others, and obviously they would have taken some interest, because no one does charity. Charity is never free. Okay, so they used to give money to some other countries, and they came together and created Paris Club, and like World Trade Agreement and etc. World Trade Organization, it was created by some countries, or World Bank, or IMF. We have discussed earlier. Okay, it used to give this. It is a group of countries which used to give loan to the other countries, poor countries or developing countries. Okay, so it is it. And G20 common framework. Actually, there are many types of submitted G20, G7, etc., etc. They have some common framework. They have some something in news. So this piece was in news. This piece was in news. So what happened? It was because of COVID-19 outbreak. So many countries which had taken loan, like Sri Lanka, which was recently in news, or many other countries in Africa or other developing countries, they could not pay their loans at time because everything was stopped, lockdown, global lockdown. So they came together and asked devised a policy that we will not seek loan very fastly. We will give some time to the borrowers, and etc., etc. They become very liberal. Okay, so this was in the news. So it is an initiative endorsed by the G20 together with the Paris Club. It is right. It was in news. It is totally factual based question. There is no logic can be applied here. It is an initiative to support low income countries. Okay, initiative to support low income countries is also to with unsustainable debt. And we know which is the best loan giver in the world is today is China. So it gives unsustainable debt, and it creates loss of economy or the country, collapse of the economy, like you can see in Sri Lanka, Pakistan, everywhere in African countries, like that only. So it is the answer. Now we will discuss these terms. These are peripheral. These come in news in brief, and not in detail. Okay, which will make a so idea in our mind. It will create some idea. So what is G4? Firstly G4. So G7 and G20 can be clubbed together. These are different things. G4 is another thing. So what happens in UNSC, United Nations Security Council? We know that there are P5. P5 means permanent 5 countries. P5 countries, which are the permanent 5 countries? They are US, UK, France, Russia and China. Okay, these are the P5 countries. They have the power called veto power. Veto power we already know from our childhood on 6th class. It is discussed in 6th class only. So what happens that it has been 75 years almost, or something like that, after the formation of the United Nations. But since then they have not increased their number. They have reserved the power. So these countries are G4 countries. Some countries like those G4 countries are Japan, India, Brazil and one more country, Germany. These countries are called G4. They have come together, they have clubbed together, and they are asking that we want permanent seat in the UNSC, United Nations Security Council. And these are the main countries. So they have their own reasons, because Japan say that after World War we have suffered the most, and we have developed economy, we are a developed country, we follow all the rules, etc., etc. India can say that we are the third largest economy, we are the largest democracy in the world, and we have 1/3 or 1/5 of population of the world, etc., etc. They say, India says. And Brazil says that no one is coming from South Africa. I have the biggest chunk of South Africa. I can come here. I am well deserved to come here. And Germany says, I was a villain in the World War II, but now I am a good person, and we are a developed economy. See, so we want seat. So these 4 together are called G4. So it was different. It is an unofficial group. Now we come to official groups. Okay, G4 is over. Now we come to G7. G7 has a history which will come and future also and present also, which will cover G6, G8, G10, G11, D10. So it was started in I think 1976 or something like that. Not important for UPSC, so I don't remember this. G6 was a group of countries which included USA, highly industrialized countries which are developed also. Per capita income they are very high, in very, I think they are in rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have a very good per capita income. So it includes UK, US, France, Italy, Japan and I think US, UK, France, Italy, Japan, Germany. Okay, they come together and form a group called G6. Okay, and they have some policy, some discussion, etc., etc. They give to the third world countries and all. After some time, in G6 a country was added plus Canada. G6 plus Canada. Okay, here G6 plus Canada created G7. Now G7 plus Russia created G8. But in 2014, Russia attacked Ukraine and take back its Crimea area. So they came together and they expelled Russia from the group. Again, it became minus Russia. It became G7. Now Trump was in power. He was thinking to expand this G7 to G11. He wanted to add some countries to counter China. G7 plus, his idea was G7 plus India plus Japan is already there, South Korea plus I think Russia plus Australia to create G11. But all the other members said no, we cannot allow Russia, because Russia always spies on us. Spy means it sends malware to their computer. Spy, jasusi karna. It spies on us, and it spies on us, and it is always in attack aggressive mode. We cannot accept it. So this plan was dropped, and it was not good for India also, because they will say that if we have to altogether put sanction on Russia, so it will be very difficult for India to do this. But South Korea and Australia would easily do that. The G11 was dropped. Then he formulated idea, okay, we will form G10, means minus Russia, G10. Russia को इसमें से हटा दे, then G10. So it could also not be formed, okay. And these G10 will discuss when they will meet as G10. They will discuss as G10 group. G means grouping, and D means democratic. So he wanted democratic group of democratic countries called D10. This group was also called D10, democratic 10. So this is the basic thing. And G20 we will discuss here, okay. 2-3 salient points about G20. So G20 has some list. I don't think which is so much important, and I cannot recall it. So G20 includes all the G11 countries plus Saudi Arabia, I think UAE also, Indonesia, and other countries. You can Google it, okay. I don't think it is important. So important point is that in this G20, one is summit. What is means by summit? Summit means the top of the mountain, okay. Summit word means the top of the mountain. Summit means the head of the states, head of the state or head of the government will come together and have a brief discussion with each other, okay. This is called summit. They have a summit as well as they have a discussion of finance ministers or finance secretaries in countries like USA. They have discussion of finance minister as well as head of central banks of their countries, central bank heads. So it was actually developed as a financial group to discuss the finances. So it is basically working like that, and other topics like tourism and etc. But it is centered around finance of the countries. They have 80% of, I think, GDP of world, 70% of population, or something like that. The data may change, okay. It is your homework, you can do it. And it considers, I think, 65% of geographical area and all, okay. This is the best explanation of this G20. You will find it on any coaching website or everywhere. So please have a look over that. It might be wrong, the data might be wrong, but the concept should be clear. So it is a G20 where the summit is held. And another important point of G20 is that in 2022 it was in Indonesia. It has no secretariat or no permanent secretariat. Only Sherpas are made, means temporary secretariats are made, okay. G20 2022 meeting was in Indonesia, and 2023 is going to be in India. This is important because it is going to be in India, going to occur in India. So this was the brief discussion, okay. we will, I don't think that any topic is left for today. Okay, we will discuss another question in next class. Thank you very much.